Darkness, suffocating weight, the inability to move, the very idea of being buried alive strikes terror deep within the human psyche. It is a primal fear, ingrained in our collective consciousness, a nightmare whispered through generations. For most it remains a morbid curiosity, a fear that remains safely confined to the realm of horror movies and campfire stories. But for a terrifying few, this nightmare has been a horrifying reality. Throughout history there have been chilling accounts of individuals, both men and women, accidentally declared dead and buried alive. The victims trapped in darkness, their screams muffled by 6 feet of earth, their pleas for help silenced by the irreversible mistake of a premature burial. While the exact number remains unknown, the historical prevalence of this dreadful fate is undeniable. Yet within these tales of unimaginable terror, there exist glimmers of hope, stories of extraordinary survival that defy all odds. These are the accounts of women who stared death in the face, felt the cold embrace of the grave, yet found the strength to claw their way back to life. Their stories are a testament to the indomitable human spirit, a stark reminder that even in the face of unimaginable horror, the will to live can burn bright. This is their story. The fear of being buried alive reached its zenith in the 18th and 19th centuries. Medical science, still in its infancy, lacked the tools to definitively determine death. Cases of people waking up at their own funerals were not unheard of, fueling widespread panic and paranoia. This fear, known as taphophobia, gripped society, leading to the invention of elaborate safety coffins equipped with air tubes, bells, and even flags to signal for help. Women, often perceived as frail and prone to fainting spells, were especially vulnerable to being declared dead prematurely. Victorian mourning rituals, which involved laying out the deceased for several days, further increased the risk of burying the living. Misdiagnoses of comas, epileptic seizures, and other medical conditions as death were tragically common. The stories that follow are not for the faint of heart. They delve into the darkest recesses of human experience, confronting us with the raw terror of being buried alive. Yet, they also offer a profound message of hope, resilience, and the extraordinary strength of the human spirit. These women, through their unimaginable ordeals, remind us that even in the face of our deepest fears, the will to live can be a powerful force. Octavia Hatcher, a young woman from Pikeville, Kentucky, seemed to succumb to the grip of a mysterious illness in the spring of 1891. Her symptoms, baffling to the local doctor, culminated in a death-like trance. With a heavy heart, her grief-stricken husband prepared for her burial. Days turned into weeks. Octavia's husband, haunted by vivid dreams of his wife pleading for release, was consumed by a growing unease. He couldn't shake the feeling that a terrible mistake had been made. Driven by a desperate hope, he requested her exhumation. The townspeople, shocked and horrified, watched as the coffin was lifted from the earth. As the lid creaked open, a collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Octavia's face, once peaceful in death, was contorted in an expression of sheer terror. Her fingers were raw and bloody, evidence of her desperate struggle to escape her wooden prison. Octavia's story, though harrowing, had a surprisingly happy ending. She eventually recovered from her illness, living for many years after her ordeal. Her tale became a local legend, a stark reminder of the fallibility of human judgment and the terrifying possibility of being buried alive. In 1893, a chilling incident unfolded in White Plains, New York, that sent shockwaves across the nation. Mrs. Boger, a seemingly healthy young woman, collapsed in her home, her body racked by violent convulsions. The attending physician, fearing the worst, pronounced her dead from heart failure. Mrs. Boger was laid to rest in the family plot, her grieving family left to grapple with the suddenness of her passing. However, their mourning would be short-lived. Disturbing rumors began to circulate, whispers of Mrs. Boger having been buried alive. Haunted by these rumors and plagued by guilt, Mr. Boger made the agonizing decision to exhume his wife's body. The scene that greeted him was nothing short of horrifying. Mrs. Boger's body, once carefully composed, lay twisted in the coffin. Her burial shroud was torn, her once pristine hands caked in dirt and her fingernails broken and bloody. The lining of the coffin was ripped and shredded, bearing silent witness to her desperate struggle for survival. Tragically, Mrs. Boger's story did not have a happy ending. She had indeed been buried alive, a victim of a misdiagnosis. Her death, a stark reminder of the ever-present fear of being buried alive, sparked a national debate about the ethics of premature burial and the need for more accurate methods of determining death. Section 5. A Will to Live. Physical and Emotional Challenges. The physical and emotional torment endured by these women defies comprehension. Imagine the suffocating darkness, the crushing weight of the earth pressing down, the air growing thin and stale with each passing moment, the panic, the desperation, the knowledge that every struggling breath could be your last. The physiological response to being buried alive is a cascade of horrors. Oxygen deprivation leads to a terrifying sense of suffocation, triggering a primal fight-or-flight response. The body, starved for air, goes into survival mode. Heart rate skyrockets, blood pressure soars, and every muscle screams for oxygen. But the torment is not just physical. Imagine the crushing despair, the agonizing realization that you have been buried alive, forgotten, left to die alone in the cold, unforgiving embrace of the grave. The psychological trauma, the indelible scars left on the psyche, are perhaps the most enduring legacy of this horrific experience. Section 6. Survival instincts clawing back to life. What compels these women to fight? What flicker of hope, what surge of adrenaline allows them to push past the terror, the pain, the overwhelming despair? The answer lies in the extraordinary resilience of the human spirit, the innate will to survive that burns bright even in the face of unimaginable darkness. Some, like Octavia Hatcher, were fortunate. Their ordeals were relatively short, their cries for help heard by those who refused to let them be forgotten. Others, like Mrs. Boger, were not so lucky. Their stories serve as a chilling reminder of the very real danger of premature burial, and the importance of honoring the dead with the dignity of certainty. These women, through their unimaginable ordeals, embody the very essence of survival. They remind us that even in the darkest of times, when hope seems lost and death appears inevitable, the human spirit can find a way to endure. Their stories are a testament to the power of resilience, the importance of never giving up, even when the odds are stacked against us. Section 7. The Strength Within, Overcoming the Unimaginable. The trauma of being buried alive extends far beyond the physical ordeal. The psychological scars, the nightmares, the fear of enclosed spaces can linger long after the event itself. Yet, despite the unimaginable terror they endured, these women found a way to navigate the aftermath of their experiences. Some, like Octavia, were able to reintegrate into society, their stories becoming legends whispered around campfires and recounted in hushed tones. Others, understandably, retreated into themselves, the trauma too deep, the memories too painful to share. Their stories, though often harrowing, are ultimately tales of hope and resilience. They teach us that the human spirit is capable of withstanding unimaginable suffering, that even in the face of our deepest fears we can find the strength to persevere. Section 8. An Enduring Testament to the Human Spirit. The stories of these women, though separated by time and circumstance, are united by a common thread, an unyielding will to live. They serve as a stark reminder of the fragility of life, the ever-present possibility of error, and the importance of vigilance in the face of uncertainty. Their experiences, though difficult to comprehend, offer a profound message of hope. They remind us that even in the darkest of times when all seems lost, the human spirit can endure. The will to live, the desire to breathe, to see the sunlight, to feel the embrace of loved ones, can be a powerful force, capable of propelling us forward even in the face of unimaginable terror. These women, through their suffering and survival, have woven themselves into the fabric of history. Their stories, passed down through generations, serve as a testament to the extraordinary resilience of the human spirit, a beacon of hope in a world often shrouded in darkness. They remind us that even in death's cold embrace, life, in all its precious and tenacious beauty, can find a way.